if you want to learn about peak performance, I think no one else in the world can teach us better than sports people. People who have, got so much of experience in sports. Because I think if you look at, business people, entrepreneurs or artists, everyone needs to perform at peak levels. But when it comes to sports, that also for a short duration of time, the kind of performance they have to bring out is unbelievable. So there's a lot to learn from, I would rather say, sports as such, to learn about peak performance. And at this point of time, as I always say that when we talk about human peak performance or human performance optimization, this is one area on which I'm very passionate about. I'm so happy today and also super excited also because I've got one very, very eminent person who can talk about peak performance, I would rather say much better than anybody else in the world right now. So we have got the one and only Mr. Robin Uthappa.
Thank you so much. And I'll take that for an introduction any day of the week. Thank you very much. Very kind of you.
Robin, you have been an inspiration to a lot of people. And mainly, I would rather say that maybe the kind of conversation we are going to have maybe could be in a different plane altogether. Sure. Especially, I've seen you playing and I'm seeing you for the last couple of days in this shape. So generally, when people play, that's the time you look so fit. But I'm seeing you more fit right now at this point of time. So why this change?
Well, I think I'm in a much better place mentally and emotionally. I think, when you are playing at a very high level and you're competing to pursue your dreams and your goals, you sometimes maybe not even consciously, but subconsciously, you end up putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And when you look at it, and a lot of research has been done as well, right? Scientifically, when you look at it, when you are stressed, you do produce a lot more cortisol.
That's right.
So when you do produce a lot more cortisol, then the body goes into survival mechanism. So it holds on to fat, to survive.
Yeah.
And just out of precaution, it holds on to fat to survive. So I thought about it. I was like, why have I lost so much weight post playing competitive or post playing cricket in India? How has the weight dropped off so much? For me, it is, and for me, I feel like, okay, maybe I'm just a lot less stressed and I'm really enjoying myself.
So you're saying that it's a natural.
It has been quite natural, Mr. Sajeev. It's actually been, my eating habits have changed. I don't feel like eating junk as much as I used to in the past. I'm like, I literally eat as much as my hand today. It's like people and I gave up breakfast as a concept. I gave it up about 2 years ago.
Really?
Just before moving to Dubai, I gave up breakfast as a the whole thing about the concept of breakfast itself, I gave up because I did some research about the concept of breakfast.
Okay.
And interestingly, it was a concept that was introduced to the people post the First World War. Because post the First World War, a lot of lives were lost. Obviously, the population of the world wasn't as much as it is now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who went to war were not necessarily soldiers alone. They were also farmers. They were also other skilled workers, right? And to that point, yes, the industrial revolution happened before that. But a lot of the bread and butter of a lot of the people were also farmers, right? So in the farms, there was a lot of animals, a lot of cattle and so on and so forth. So the concept of breakfast was introduced in the early 1900s from what I researched. I could be wrong, but whatever little I've researched, it's actually come up from there. It's basically to get rid of the cattle in the farms. They introduced this concept. But if you go back to, say, our culture, the Indian culture, right? As farmers, what was the culture? Today, my family, in my father's side, are all coffee farmers. So what was the culture? The culture, even when I was growing up, when I saw my grandfather, he would break fast at about 11 o'clock. Sometimes not even 11 o'clock, right? He would be up by 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
He'd go out to the estates, go and farm and have a look at the paddy fields and how everything was going. And then sometimes even with the laborers, he would break his fast at about 11:30, 12 o'clock. So when they would break for fast, the laborers would break for fast, he would come home and have his lunch. That was his first meal. He'd have his cup of coffee. So initially, when you think about it, all of us, I think, all of us, when I say our ancestors, operate in such a way that they would go to the farms or their estates very early in the morning. They'd finish the first half, and then food was sent to them. Or food was taken to them wherever they are.
In a tiffin box.
In a tiffin box or something. And then they would break their fast and eat their first meal. Finish work, finish that, take a break, and then go back to till the land again till about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening. Come back home. By 6 o'clock, they would have had dinner. 8 o'clock, lights out, rinse and repeat. That was life. So in my head, I was thinking, if my ancestors, just based on my culture, had 2 meals a day, why should I have more than 2 meals a day?
Yeah. For them, actually, time-restricted fasting was natural.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't go to
intermittent fasting was pretty much a norm for them.
Yeah.
And even if you go before that, even more further back, as hunters and gatherers, how often did we eat? If we ate 2 times a day, it was a luxury. As hunters and gatherers. Before we became farmers, we were hunters and gatherers. So for me, I'm like, hey, 2-meal concept. Let's stick with that. That's been a game changer for me. That and eating as much as my hand. So I have that much rice. I love rice. So I have that much rice or any form of rice. It could be dosa. It could be patri. It could be just any form of rice.
Okay.
And I have that much protein and I have that much veggies. That's it. And I eat that twice a day. And I think that's what's just gone helped me lose a lot of weight. I've also discovered a new passion here. I enjoy a lot of paddle tennis. I play. So with that, that's also kept me active. And it's a speed endurance game. But actually, I would say more speed. And you have to kind of keep going. Cricket's more speed endurance, but it's start-stop. But here, there's no start-stop. You just keep going for like 30 minutes, take a break, 30 minutes, again intense, take a break.
Yeah.
So I end up losing in an hour and a half close to 12 to 1500 calories.
So when you skip breakfast, when is that you have dinner? Like how much of window you get in terms of fasting? Natural fasting?
Natural fasting, I don't really keep a count because I was very anal when I was playing cricket back in India.
Okay.
And now I'm just a lot more relaxed. And I don't know why, because I'm a lot more relaxed, things seem to be working in my favor and I'm not stressing about it. So I'm not strict about it, but I try and stay in the ballpark of, being on the average side of being disciplined. So for me, if I'm disciplined with my eating habits, 5 out of 7 days, that's an 80%.
Yeah, absolutely.
80% strike rate. So I'm like, okay, that's good enough. I try and make sure that I'm 8 out of 10 times I'm eating right. The other 2 times, if I'm not, I'm fine about it. So I still will indulge. I'll have an ice cream every now and then.
Once in a while, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't. I don't think about food so much in a sense.
Yeah, being super conscious also is a problem.
It's hectic. It's a lot. It takes a lot
that
of
actually
headspace.
increases stress level, like what you said. Yeah,
and then go on to cortisol storage, and then you go on to. So when cortisol storage happens, you automatically reach out to foods that make you feel foods that aren't healthy for you.
Automatic. The craving becomes automatic. Yeah. But when you were playing cricket, you must have been getting that voice on terms of kind of food and all.
Oh, of course.
But was it difficult to practice when you were actually playing cricket, or?
It depended. It depended simply on what form of cricket I was playing. If I was playing domestic cricket, that is Ranji Trophy, it was quite hard to follow. But if you're playing the IPL or if you're playing any league cricket, or if you were at home and you're playing some matches here and there, then that wasn't difficult. When you're at home, it's easy to follow. When you're traveling for matches and you're staying in 5-star hotels, and you're and there's a you can actually get the things that you want to eat. Like you can get an avocado in any other top tier, second tier cities in India. But when you go for Ranji Trophy, you don't stay in 5-star hotels. You stay in 3-star hotels, 4-star hotels. And then you don't go to, sometimes you don't even go to second tier cities. You go to third tier cities to promote the game.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can focus on as far as nutrition is concerned. So you try and eat as locally as possible. So there were different solutions we had for different places. So for the most part, I've actually tried every diet there is to try as an athlete. So for the most part, in the 20 years that I've played, every form of training I've tried, every form of nutrition plan I've tried. And then I've realized, okay, you know what? With all of these things, there are pluses and minuses, right? When you go and they say eat locally, I love the concept. So you go and eat what the local people eat. So if you go to Gujarat, you eat like the Gujaratis eat. You go to Kerala, you eat like they eat. But the thing is, it takes you so much. It takes you away from the game sometimes. Because if you're trying to eat locally, then your headspace is more there.
Yeah.
You want to have enough room in your head to focus on your skills as well, and that doesn't necessarily happen when you focus on these, like when you focus on the concept of just saying eating locally. Now then, if you go to, say for example, you go to a town in Haryana, and then you're supposed to find a salad there. Now a salad there is the concept of a salad is very different in, say, Rohtak compared to
all the different places. Yeah, you're right.
So the concept itself is very different. So how do you find a nutritious salad that does not have mayo?
Yeah, correct.
These are challenges that you face. Yeah. So it becomes difficult, but you try and find a way to balance. And you say, okay, these I can. So then what cricketers generally go to would be, okay, I need to have proteins, I need to have some amount of carbs, I need to have some decent good fat.
Balanced out.
And you try and balance out the macros.
But when you were saying that, when you're playing cricket, you are continuously under stress, because that means the load on the mind is too much. And when you are in the crease, actually, you need to have absolute presence of mind. When you're totally stressed, the presence of mind, it's very difficult to keep that presence of mind. So how do you guys manage it out? How do you train yourself? Because we know that how to train your body is very interesting, but at the same time, all people know about it. But how to train your mind for this is something which is a big question mark.
Oh, it's actually a very interesting question. Not a lot of people ask that. So for a lot of athletes, I've often noticed, at least for me, what has worked for me is when I've made practice far more challenging than a match. And when you practice really, really hard, the match seems like a breeze.
Okay.
So what I do is at practice, I put myself under duress. I put myself under tremendous amount of stress. It could be, I would be batting. I'd go early in the morning. So if I'm playing, say, Ranji Trophy cricket, if I'm playing red ball cricket, I would organize practice sessions which would start at 7 in the morning on uncovered wickets. And I would bat with a bat that is not more than 2 inches in length. Okay. So, and then I set a standard saying, okay, in this session, I can't get out more than twice. And I'll have 5 bowlers bowling with me with 5 new balls, and I'd bat against them. So I made practice really challenging for myself. And then I'd bat for like almost, if it was a 3-hour session, I was going to play, say, 600, 700 balls that day. The first 550 balls would be with that bat, that thin bat. And only the last 150 balls would be with a regular bat.
Right.
And suddenly it felt like I made practice so challenging that the match, but even at practice, my disciplines before each ball that I played, my pre-ball discipline, my post-ball disciplines were practiced to the T. So when you exercise those routines, because those are the say the triggers that get you into the state to help you play the ball to the best of your ability. Because one has to understand that for a batter, for a batsman, the game is almost a 1.5-2 second game. The game is when the bowler jumps to bowl the ball and he releases it till you play it. That is the game for a batter.
You don't get a second chance.
That's it. Every ball is a game for a batter. Now, how do you prepare before the ball and after the ball, each ball that sets you up to play that next ball well and sets you up to play the ball that you're going to face really, really well. Now that 2 seconds, how can you slow that time down to try and make it 4 or 5 seconds where you're not reacting to the ball, but you're responding to the ball? That is where the beauty of the game of cricket is as a batsman. And for me, I figured that out for myself.
That means to make that 2 seconds to 3 or 4 or 5 seconds.
5-6 seconds.
Yeah.
Then you're in complete control of the game. Then you're controlling the narrative of the game. You're in control. Whether you're playing defensively, whether you're playing aggressively, whether you're in survival mode, whether you're in thriving mode, you're in control. You're dictating terms. So the way to get there is to make practice even more challenging.
Because I was remembering about that NatWest match in which I think there was about 85, 89 runs to win.
In 8 overs.
That was the time you usually used to play as an opener, and this was 7 down or something.
I went 6 down that game.
Yeah, 7. Yeah. I was wondering that, that point of time, you must have been stressed,
Of course.
And how do you really make that happen? And also, I believe on the other side, Dhoni went out at a critical point.
Yeah.
And you guys won the match.
Yeah.
So when we look at it from, just for a fan, definitely it's a great moment, but at the same time, what that player must have gone through is something which is a research subject.
Yeah.
That's why I asked this question.
Yeah. That game was pretty good because...
And that game was a complete game changer. It was a breakthrough match.
Yeah, it was. And so we were playing that game. England were leading the series 3-2.
Yes.
And that game, then they scored 350, I think, in that game. And then if we'd lost the game, we would have lost the series.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think in that game, everyone performed well. I think Sachin Paji performed well, Dada performed well, Rahul Bhai scored a few runs, Gautam Gambhir scored runs. UV, I think UV got out a little cheaply. And then Mahi and I were batting. When I went in to bat, Mahi was batting. And then he's like, 8 overs, we need 83 to go. And we said, okay, let's try and take the game to the last 4 overs and then see where it is. So let's run well between the wickets. And when the ball presents itself an opportunity to score a boundary, we'll score. And then we play natural games, basically. And that's what we discussed. So we got it down to the 4 overs. And then we got down to the 4 overs. I think we needed 47 or something in 4 overs. And then when Mahi got out, we needed 28 in, if I'm not wrong, about 13, 14 balls.
About 2.5 overs.
But when he got out, something inside me said, man, you're going to win this game.
Really?
And it's like that confidence. Something gave me a lot of confidence that I'm going to win this game. So in my head, I knew I'm going to win this game and I didn't worry about how. I'm like, I'm going to win this game. I just have to bat the next 12, 13, 14 balls. And that's what I tried to do. So there were 12 last 2 overs to go. And then when Mahi got out, I felt like, okay, I'm going to win this game. I just have to bat the next 12 balls. I'll know it'll happen when it has to happen. And I just trusted my instinct completely. And just trusting my instinct, I just backed everything. I just backed myself completely and then didn't second guess myself. And I think for me, when I think back of that time and I think back of that match or in retrospect, I feel like one of the things I learned from that, and I've often observed that in my career or in somebody else's career or in their lives, where when they trust their instinct, 99% of the times or 98% of the times things go your way and they fall into place. And people don't necessarily have the courage to trust their instinct. And even if it means they fail, they fear failing on their own terms, which I think is fascinating to me. I don't understand how people are willing to fail on somebody else's terms, but they're not willing to fail on their own terms. Failure sometimes is a part of life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And as an athlete, we go through it day in and day out, right? And this is something I've spoken to some really good leaders as well. And most of them say, I'd rather fail on my terms than succeed on somebody else's terms.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a very, very good way of thinking.
Yeah. Like when you trust yourself, you allow, and for you to trust yourself, you have to trust your instinct.
Absolutely.
You trust your gut.
That's what you trust yourself means.
Yeah, that's what trust yourself means.
Yeah.
When you trust yourself and you trust your instinct, you allow divine to channel through you. And people don't necessarily understand that concept, or they're too fearful of the fear of failure is too great. One of my coaches told me this. He's like, Praveen Amre was my coach, and he told me, Robin, in life, he said, with your cricket, if your fear of failure is greater than your will to win, then you will fail. But if your will to win is greater than your fear of failure, you will actually win.
Yeah.
Now, fear of failure is there for everybody. It could be a Virat Kohli, it could be Phelps, it could be, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, any one of these athletes.
Even business,
Business even, right? The greatest businessmen and businesswomen have fear of failure. Any entrepreneur experiences it.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a part and parcel of the job. It's a part and parcel of life. That's what keeps us alive. That is the most exciting part. It's that fear that actually keeps us alive.
Yeah.
Now, that is not a negative thing.
Yeah.
It's actually driving you. It's actually positive influence that, okay, it's telling you how far you can go.
Yeah.
Right? Today, a child, like a baby, doesn't have fear of failure until we tell them what it is. Now, today, when my daughter's near something hot, I tell her, Trinity, hot, hot. And then I make her just touch just a little bit.
Correct.
And then she recognizes what hot is. But if I don't tell her that, right, she doesn't know what the limit is. She can just put her hand on the flame and then she'll get burnt. And then she'll realize, oh, this is what hot means.
Correct.
Now, if we teach that, if I can teach that to my child in a positive sense, then I'm teaching her positive boundaries.
Yeah.
If we don't teach that as parents, then we're teaching them negative. Like, they will learn themselves from experimenting, and they will become negative boundaries for them in their lives.
Absolutely.
And that becomes a fear in their lives.
In fact, I heard this very interesting statement, which made me also thinking that courage is the determination to take an action even when you are in doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're in doubt.
Yeah.
Because you can only exercise courage when you're in doubt.
Yeah, otherwise there is no
courage. Courage doesn't exist if there is no doubt or fear.
Yeah, what the lines you said are exactly the same, because the fear of failure is a doubt.
Yeah.
Whether I will fail or not.
You know, will it happen? Will it not happen?
Yeah.
But like, whether it happens or not, do it. You will have fun. You learn something new.
Yeah.
If you can approach life from that point of view, life is actually going to be fun. Right? You have to approach it from a point of view of, okay, you apply your learnings into your life, but curiosity should never die.
Yeah.
If you're curious and if you want to figure out how things work, and what would happen if you do X, Y, and Z, you'll actually exercise it with self-awareness, and then you'll do it from a place of, okay, I learn as much as from a student's perspective.
Correct.
And when you do that, you learn so much. Yeah. Whether
in fact,
you feel
one of the beauties in the life itself is uncertainty. If everything is certain, you lost the charm of life.
Yeah. That's why they say, yesterday is a story.
Yeah.
Could be your story, my story, but it's a history, right?
Yeah, it's a history. Yeah.
The reason we're here today, and today is called the present, because it's actually a gift. It's an opportunity for us to experience so many new things we don't know.
Future, we don't even know.
Yeah.
Future is just a mystery.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, from sports, now you are, I know that you're helping a lot of people to gain absolute mental well-being, and also helping a lot of people to move themselves up.
Yeah.
In terms of, so how was the transition from sports? I know that sports requires that mental courage and strength, but how you chose that, you wanted to be, you should be helping thousands of people or millions of people to maintain good mental well-being.
Well, I think my own journey of going through clinical depression and being suicidal for a certain number of years.
While you were playing the cricket?
While I was playing cricket, helped me realize...
So you mean to say that we were seeing you playing cricket, and behind the scene you were depressed?
Yeah, of course. For a long time, between 2008 and 2012. But I think is when I was actually properly going through clinical depression, and I was suicidal. But my work that I put in between 2012 and 15, 16, I think 17 is truly when I actually stopped my medication. So from 12 to 17, I was on medication for clinical depression. And for me, it was that journey that I think from 8 to 17, the 9-year journey that inspired.
In fact, that's almost the same 9 years you were playing the international cricket.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something I was constantly navigating through, and people think that mental health issues or mental health related issues are like taking a course of antibiotics, that you do the course and it's done. No, it's a journey. You have to navigate through it and come out the other side. And if you stay true to the journey, then you'll actually be able to not just help yourself, you'll be able to help a lot of people, and you'll be left with a lot of empathy for people going through these kind of issues, and you'll be able to actually add value to people's lives. And for me, this is something that I kind of experienced while navigating through mental health related issues in India. I think to this day, I'm still striving to break the stigma attached to mental health related issues. Because today, if anyone goes to a counselor, anyone goes to a life coach, anyone goes to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, people are saying, don't tell anyone. No, don't tell anyone. It doesn't look good in the family. I think that's a whole load of horse crap, to be very honest. I just think it's just a boatload of nonsense, and I don't think that I think that stigma attached to it should be broken. I think everyone goes through mental health related issues
at various
points in life, and you have to understand, as in, it also depends which country you're born in, where the country is in itself, in its progress in the world. Now, if you look at where our parents come from, where your parents come from, they come from an India that operated simply out of survival mode, because we were ruled by and colonized by the foreigner.
That's right.
And ruled over for 250, 300 years. And when they left our country, they left India in absolute tatters. The GDP when they came in was 27%. When they left was 3%.
3%.
So it was in absolute tatters. Now from there, everyone who was patriotic and who lived in India, every single one of them operated out of survival mode. There was no space to think about mental health. Whatever they did, they had to do. They had to endure. And that's how they became strong, and they endured it. That's why a lot of people say, not from our generation, but before our generation, our parents, our grandparents, would be like, what are you crying on about mental health issues? Like, this is day in and day out for us.
It's normal.
It's normal.
Yeah.
But today, the world we live in, we have to understand the India we live in, although it's 75, 76 years old, we're still a very young country. We're still a developing nation. From what I understand, financially even, it will take the next 15, 20 years for it to become a developed nation. So you have to understand that we're a part of the ecosystem where we've moved from survival mentality to being comfortable mentality. And now from being comfortable to thriving, that's the transition that we're in at this point in time as a nation. So as a nation, as a people, we're also transitioning from the old mentality to the new.
Correct.
And when you transition from one to the other, there has to be breaking of chains of a few limiting beliefs that are there. Vulnerability in a man was considered a weakness. We are taught as kids, don't cry, you're a boy.
You're a boy. Yeah. You're right.
Boys don't cry. But people don't understand that crying is just an emotion. There's nothing wrong with it. It's neither good nor bad.
Absolutely.
It's just an emotion. Like laughter is an emotion. Crying is also just an emotion.
Absolutely,
And what is emotion? It's energy in motion. So if you stop a male child or a boy child from crying, you're blocking his energy, which can lead to so many other things that people don't understand, because they're so short-sighted, and the lack of self-awareness, even as individuals or parents, we say these things. Like, I've had my wife correct me once or twice. She's like, I'd be like, hey man, come on, boys, you're a boy, buddy, come on, be strong. And my wife like, what are you saying? Like, why are you saying something like that? It's so wrong.
Right.
Like, it's an emotion. Then I catch myself. I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I apologize to my son. I apologize to my wife, and then we move on. But these things are taught to us. It just comes. It comes down from the past, and these are things that we need to take action and correct. We need to make the changes. It's just